let me start the recording, put us onto this map. All right, welcome back, guys. This is our 23rd or 24th session, depending on how you follow the numbering scheme. I don't really have any announcements for. Oh, no, wait, I do have one announcement. Next week, the weekend of May the 5th, May the 4th, we are taking off. So next week, we have a bye week, and that'll extend to the Arcadia game as well. Um, I actually don't think I have anything else. I'm excited to see how this session turns out since you guys kind of are in the middle of Tholian space. So, Matic, if you would care to take away with your log.
Personal log, stardate 55507.4. Our recent trip to the mirror universe leaves me with a unsettled feeling, yet confident. If the portal is able to be opened and used in such a manner, more crossovers would be possible in the future in an attempt to study that side. However, I wish we would have had more time over there. That had been the closest I've been since I began working on temporal mechanics to saving Savia. But that is a thought for another time. The return trip has placed the ship deep within Tholian territory, and if half the reports from the Institute have some truth to them, then we may be in trouble. We are currently traveling at warp 9.99. However, we can only remain at this speed for a few days at most, where we would need almost a month and a half to get out. I have a few ideas on how to get us out of danger. However, almost all of them carry some risk. But that's the beauty of working with experimental technology. In log.
Okay. Small retcon. I'm going to say that you guys haven't gone to warp quite yet. Simply because doing so would immediately give away your position. Um, so you are still at station keeping where you first arrived.
All right.
And yeah, we are actually going to open up with the first scene in main engineering. And kind of what happened last time when we had a meeting of the minds. Main engineering is pretty much packed. You have all the staple NPCs. You've got Zenixia, you've got Prague, Mirthrin and Matic. You're both there. Locke or anyone else could certainly be there as well if they so wished.
Locke is
Um,
still dying, so
this is
he's not.
true. Oh yeah, that's right. We still have to do the Beckett
Yeah.
Locke scene. So I guess Locke can't be there quite yet. But yeah, main engineering is pretty much packed, and everyone who has even an inkling of expertise in warp dynamics is present.
Oh,
And
yep. So Murthrin's got the crews scrambling all over everything. Like we're actually like moving forward some replacement maintenance that was due to come up in like a week or two, and we're doing that now. So we've got brand new conduits and fittings for the jump.
yep. So the purpose of this meeting is basically to toss out ideas and theories on how to get out of Tholian space as soon as possible. And for reference, as Matic kind of alluded to, it will take a month and a half at minimum, at maximum warp of the Ophion, just to reach friendly territory. So you're pretty deep in there.
Matic would have requested that either Pinek or Skull would be at the meeting. That way, it's more of a they see what the plans are, and so that we can immediately get the approval.
Yeah, it would make sense for Skull to be down here. He's smart enough to not interject, so he's just casually, well, not casually, he's observing from somewhere.
Okay, we'll say you get actually table space because you're the captain.
I would just be on the chair in the bridge.
Okay. All right. Well, eggheads, go ahead and have your meeting.
Look,
Murthrin's
Mertrin,
first.
if we
Oh, go ahead.
if we just shut down, if we just evacuate the crew from these four decks, shut down life support, shut down transporters, probably shut down half the replicators on the ship, we might be able to give us an extra few days on structural integrity.
I agree. I mean, I've already cancelled all holodeck time for the foreseeable future, and I've put those into full shutdown already.
What about
I mean, my first thought is to maybe try heading up to the galactic rim, but I don't know how far Tholian space extends in that direction. I mean, no one in Starfleet has ever been this far into Tholian space.
Quick question for the GM.
Sure.
You want to happen to have a map of Tholian space that you could have us look at, that way we know where we're at?
Yeah, I actually do.
Okay.
Just give me a minute because it's all the way across the other side. So here is the map of Tholian space. You are where the Ophion's token is.
All right,
joy.
and I'm assuming it's a month and a half to here.
Yes. So to go, let me change it to units to make it a little bit easier. Units. So if it's something like 12 units to get to this edge here, to get all the way back up to the Sabine Expanse, it's 52 units. So quick math, that's 4 times, so almost 5 months. If you try to go this way, it is a little bit shorter. You're probably looking at about 3 months or 3.5 months going that way. But that would involve going past Tholia.
Yes, let's not travel straight towards the capital city of the most reclusive civilization, the most reclusive isolationist civilization in known space. Yes, let's.
I don't know. I think they hold that
maximum
title with the
straight
Breen.
towards their capital. I see no way this could go wrong.
His voice just gets higher and higher pitched.
Oh, yes, it does. It does.
Merthrin, let's not panic.
Panic, you say? Panic. Oh, you have not seen panicking. This is mild stress.
Oh no! Inside, I am panicking because if we cause a diplomatic incident, all these pips on my collar are going to be knocked down to ensign if I do not get court-martialed first. So,
You mean a diplomatic incident like the most advanced military vessel in the Federation suddenly plopping into the middle of Tholian assembly space?
That doesn't sound like a treason charge.
Tim kind of clears his throat. I am with Merthrin here. This is
I apologize, Captain.
time to panic.
I
am terrified.
Yes. The adrenaline is interfering with my ability to be diplomatic.
Speaking of diplomatic, one of our favorite tactics that I've seen y'all use on the Ophion so far is the multi-vector. If each section has its warp core, there's a chance that we could separate, go 3 separate ways, and hope the Tholians only follow one of the parts.
That is a good second choice. If we get captured, we can split up.
That is a last fallback if we end up getting cornered.
on that subject, Mr. Maddock, is it possible to cycle warp cores as the primary power source so that we can spread out the wear on the ship and maintain maximum warp for longer?
I mean, it would certainly squeeze a little more time out of it.
Yeah, but we're talking maybe an extra half day, which, I mean, in this instance, that could mean a lot. It really
we do
can.
have 4 nacelles. If we rotate and alternate which ones are in use, we can sustain higher warp for longer.
Yeah, so it's a case of if we go absolute maximum warp in a sprint burst, we'll only be able to keep it up for a couple of days before we have to drop down to a much slower, like warp 8.5 for a while, just to stop the engines from overheating. If we cycle the engines, we won't be able to get up to quite that maximum speed, but we will be able to stay above warp 9.5 for quite a while.
So
I mean,
go ahead.
There is. Oh, hey, that's a lot of stuff. I mean, in the Daystrom Institute, there's another reason the chronoton sensors are being tested right now. This is classified and doesn't leave this table. Everyone understands?
Understood.
All right. In theory, Matic kind of pulls up the warp field bubble is around the ship. In theory, through simulations, whenever we fill up the front part of this warp bubble with chronotons, we were able to sometimes use an alternate device that would allow ships to jump hundreds of light years in minutes. Device I could jury rig, but might be a one-time shot if it doesn't blow the ship up.
You're talking this quantum slipstream drive, correct? Or are you talking something different?
Quantum slipstream drive.
Okay, that was in the captain's report from the Voyager logs. Very effective, and if it worked for Voyager, we could jury. They made roughly 200, if I recall correctly, about 500 light years before their modifications burnt out.
Didn't that take several months to construct?
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, they had to build it from scratch, though. We have their version along with a more updated version back up in my lab. The blueprints of it, not necessarily whether or not it works.
I mean, having it as an option to outrun some Tholian ships if they start to corner us would be very useful. Now, I think the big thing is going to be figuring out a course to plot that doesn't bring us near any known inhabited Tholian systems.
I've already asked Chief Hylong and Sona to work on that. Identifying various nebulae and other stellar phenomena that could make for a safe harbor if we need to.
There's another theory.
I'll raise an eyebrow.
We can enter fluidic space.
If I was drinking coffee, I would do a
Mirthrin's
spit
head
take.
slowly starts to tilt sideways.
Prag actually does speak up and says, "So you mean to do the same thing we were floating around with the planet killers then?"
Yeah. I wasn't here for that, but yeah. It's not the most ideal situation. Does everyone else know about species 8472 or 8372? The Udine?
Species 8472, yes. I had that was in the Voyager logs.
I mean, they're the main occupants, and last I checked, they weren't the friendliest, but
they weren't. But the Captain Janeway's last contact with them left us in a much less aggressive diplomatic situation with them.
Right, but if we travel at fluidic space, Tholians would pick up a tear to enter fluidic space, but I doubt they would follow us. I mean, they may follow us, I don't know, but
the problem with fluidic space that we
deal with
earlier,
the Tholian threat.
There was not a one-to-one spatial relationship. The distance we'd have to travel in fluidic space would be impossible to judge where we'd emerge. We could travel for a month in fluidic space and arrive a week from where we are, or the opposite, where we travel for a month and arrive a year from home.
Agreed. We would also we'd have to rely on the Undine to be good hosts while we travel through their space, which is not any more reliable right now than the potential of working with the Tholians.
There is the possibility of avoidance rather than fleeing or confrontation. Once before, we removed the hollow emitters from the inside of the ship and strapped them to the outside. It is possible we could do that again and make ourselves look like either a Tholian ship, a possible neutral merchant ship, or even an asteroid. Maybe perhaps rigging it up as a crude cloaking device to mask ourselves.
I mean, it wouldn't hold up to a thorough scan, but for someone passing by, it might work.
Most their defenses would ostensibly be around the border of their space. We could travel through the heart of their space for many days without having them. Statistically, we would not have a chance to be spotted. It's only when crossing the border we'd have to worry. At that point, we could rely on speed.
Okay. Let's go through our options. So we've got the chronoton buffer as an emergency slipstream jump. Potential of using the hollow emitters to mask the ship's signature. Dive into fluidic space briefly to avoid pursuit. And in a pinch, daisy chain all three warp cores together for a boost of speed up to warp 9.99.
Very well.
The question is, in what order of preference do we want to do these things?
Until we can establish a much faster means of travel, I prefer to take a silent running approach. We'll work on the hollow. I would suggest working on the hollow emitters and coordinate a silent running operation of the vessel. As soon as we're able, and as soon as he's feeling better, I'll have Locke analyze the local space to see if there are Tholian warp signatures that we can mimic. That should further hide our systems. And in the meantime, I'm going to have to learn all I can about Tholian diplomacy in the event we are found out.
Ah, yes, sir. Tholian diplomacy. I remember this from the academy. Don't.
Yeah, that was pretty much what my instructor said as well.
Well, I'll start configuring the systems, find all the places we can afford to cut power.
All right. So it is at this
So,
point.
from the sound of things, we're going to sacrifice maximum warp speed to sort of reduce energy signature as far as possible.
I'll talk to Lieutenant Petita and see if we can chart a course that's as far away from any star, because space is
And
mostly
sort of
mostly
weave
away
through
from
interstellar
sun.
space as much as possible.
Which direction should we set the course for? Should we go rimward, coreward, or directly towards Federation space, Captain?
I would much rather be in Federation space, although that does take us dangerously close to the heart of their empire.
I mean, they are very happy to stay within their space. Once we're out of Tholian space, we can potentially take several months just making our way around the perimeter until we meet up with Federation space again.
Rather than a direct approach, we could head to the northeast before heading due east and just carve around Tholia.
That would take an extra 3 weeks by my rough estimates, but that would work. Whereas if we head southbound, or if we head out the shortest way possible, it would be still 5 months into neutral space, if I recall my stellar political map.
I mean, uncharted, but at least it's not Tholians.
I'm sure Starfleet has always intended to explore that neck of space. It's not our directive, but given the circumstances. Very well. Let's get out of Tholian space as soon as possible. After that, we can think about our options. Rig, Maddock, Murthrin, rig the ship for silent running, and as soon as we have engines and systems configured to do high warp jumps for sustained periods of time, or we have a good set of nebula and places to hide in where we can do these sprints, let me know. Meanwhile, I'm going to go and see Locke in sickbay.
Nelson
Uh,
salutes and gets back to rigging the ship.
Captain, real quick.
Yes.
Another thing we can do, I know it's probably not ideal, but I mean, it's better than nothing. We could send out shuttles and probes on different vertices, have them giving off the same signal we'll give off once we jump to warp, and maybe the Tholians will try to follow some of those. It'll keep them busy for a couple extra hours.
Well, that's a good idea. Rig up a couple that will launch in case we are discovered. Right now, launching more probes just broadcasts our presence more than wanted right now.
Okay. So, with all that said, everyone gets to work, and we do cut to sickbay, where we will do somewhat of a small retcon from last week's episode. Initially, I had said that Beckett had been able to get Locke up and running, but off duty for 2 days, and I decided that's not really fun for Locke because then he's just sort of sitting there, not able to play. So instead, we are going to say that Beckett, you have been taking care of Locke for probably the better part of 15 minutes at this point. So this is a little bit behind the meeting. Locke initially came in with severe burns, some severe sort of rib cage injury from when his console exploded. He's out of the worst of it, but you still need to make me a control plus medicine at difficulty 3 to basically see whether or not he will sort of suffer a complication for the next couple days.
Oh, okay.
Or die.
That too.
There's
That
always
is the
that.
complication,
The ultimate.
but only for a couple days. We're gonna upload his consciousness into the Ophion, and he's gonna become the new AI.
Do I have a little H on my forehead?
Oh god.
Yeah. You also sing about a Daisy Girl a lot.
We don't have any momentum, do we?
Nope, this is fresh session.
Just to cut in real quick, I forgot to use my milestone, so I'm gonna bump my security up to 5. All right.
Okay. Remember, you can only have one scored 5.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm gonna bump my con to 4.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, I was thinking about trading out one of my talents, but I'll wait to see if I survive first.
Probably a wise decision. I have no way of getting extra dice to this.
You buy threat,
Give him threat.
or you could spend determination.
Determination will give me another dice or give me rerolls?
Determination, if you spend it before the roll, you can get an automatic 2 successes.
It buys you a dice that is effectively rolled a 1, so it counts as a dice.
Oh, well then screw that. I'll do that.
Okay, what would be the value you'd apply here?
Not losing another one?
Yeah, that would definitely apply. So all you
Go,
need to do
Dr.
then,
Values.
Yeah,
Then I get it anyways.
look at that. So yeah, you guys get 2 momentum. Beckett, you there's a reason you're the CMO on this ship. Not only are you able to stabilize and more or less get Locke almost not quite to fighting shape, but in a pinch he probably could. And at this point it's just a matter of, how do I want to say this? All the bones have been reset, all the burns have been dermally regenerated. Um, Obviously, you wouldn't recommend that he do any Klingon calisthenics within the next couple days, but he is fit for duty.
I don't even have cool scars to show for it. It's such a good role.
Yup.
Yeah, so if I were you, what I would do is make sure that your console's not going to blow up on you again. I would normally tell you to have a drink, and that's doctor's orders, but, well, we both know that it's not going to do anything for you. But, yeah, I think you should be good. Unfortunately, I didn't leave any cool scars.
That's okay. Wasn't on my eye anyway. Oh, the chest. No one can see the chest scars. Thank you, Commander.
True. You're welcome.
Stand up, slowly get my uniform on very, very stiffly.
Yeah, you get those kind of like twinges of pain. It's not really sharp. It's more like a dull pain, but it's still kind of what would be a good equivalent? Sort of like
Day
a
after
lower back
workout.
injury, maybe.
Day
that
after
kind of
back
pain?
day injury.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be feeling this in the morning. But what started is it? Is it the morning? Oh, what's actually, Commander? What is the situation currently? Last thing I remember, we were still fleeing Mirror Universe. Did we make it out? Is the ship out of danger?
I don't know
Well-
if anyone's told Beckett.
Yeah, probably not. I don't know if I would be kept in that sort of loop. I'm sure we're still running at yellow alert at minimum, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
So I'll just tell Locke. I'm gonna guess the ship's not out of danger, being we've never left yellow alert. But beyond that, as you know, news doesn't travel this far down. So, yeah, if I were you, I'd head to the bridge and see if and answer all your questions there.
So I'm cleared for duty. Don't need to spend any time away.
Well, I mean, I do have a superpower, and it's called time off. So, would you like time off, or do you want to get back to work?
I'll check with the captain first and see what the situation is, and if the situation warrants, I can take time off.
I just kind of give him this like knowing look, and say, we both know the captain's going to immediately put you back to work.
Well, I mean, if we're just on a milk run to Daedalus Station, I think I can request some medical time so I can raise my arm above halfway. But if we're still in the mirror universe, I think they'll need me in.
And almost like you were talking about him, Skull, this would be about the time you'd arrive in sickbay.
Ah, Doctor, Lieutenant, Ensign. I'm glad to see you're up and running, Lieutenant. We're going to need your expertise sooner rather than later.
I look at Locke. It's like I can read minds.
I thought you were the human, not the Beta Z.
When you get as old as I am, sometimes, you just know stuff.
Right. Quick update on the situation, guys, is we are back in our universe.
Yay!
However, we're back in our universe in Tholian space.
Boo!
Pretty much.
That's less than ideal.
Lieutenant Locke, I'd like you working on discrete communication methods to alert Starfleet Command of our current location and situation. According to the current stardate, we have been gone for 2 weeks. I'm sure they're wondering where the heck we are. Also, they're diplomatic response teams may need to be notified. Doctor, once you're done ensuring that there are all the wounded are up and running from our last encounter, I'd like to see you and Panek in my ready room to discuss diplomatic options.
The Tholians like blood wine?
I don't think they
No.
drink.
I don't think they do.
In fact, I'm
But
not
very
entirely
well,
sure.
Captain.
Thank you. As you were. And I'll spin on my heel and head rather hurriedly to the bridge.
Okay. Back up on the bridge, Panek, you've sort of been watching over things. As you said in the PM, you have kept the ship on silent running or their equivalent of such, and you've just been doing passive sensor scans. How do I want to say this? So,
That's an interesting token.
that's not supposed to be there yet.
Ha.
You saw nothing. Um,
Prepare for
when
boarding.
you initially came through the portal, there was a burst of radiation. What radiation type did I make it? Oh, good, I didn't specify. An unknown radiation burst occurred from the aperture when you left it. The burst did not reoccur, but it is still kind of a thing where I'd say for sake of argument, you've kind of moved away from the anomaly, so you're not like sitting on top of it, but it's still one of those things where that radiation burst might have gotten picked up by now.
All right.
Mr. Panek, report.
Maintaining silent status, Captain. Passive sensors so far have shown nothing. However, we
Yeah,
have
like,
detected an
I'd
anomalous
imagine
radiation.
we're like on like emergency lighting. Everything's like very submarine-y at this point.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We have detected an anomalous radiation source from the anomaly.
Okay. Has the anomaly fully closed?
Has it?
Yeah, it
I
has.
believe so.
Okay.
Yes, Captain.
Well, thank goodness for small miracles. Is Chief Hylong on the bridge by chance?
Yeah, we'll say she's at this point she's kind of working with Shatsu, and the two of them are still like mid conversation. They're not really paying attention to yours, and just listening in for a few moments, you would know that Hailong and Shatsu are debating what constitutes cover and what does not. Shatsu is of the mind that literally anything that is like say an asteroid or a an ion storm or something of that nature will work, whereas Hailong is like, no, we need actual nebula or something substantial.
Right now, I would take a chest-high wall over over our current situation. What's the area of space like that we're in? Anything even remotely good
One
that we can
second, I have to
hide in?
double check the map that I didn't put anything on here already. All right, I'll show you where you are. You are currently in this kind of area of space.
Whoa, that's cool.
Trying a little something different with the map this time.
Ooh, X's. Mikey.
As you can hopefully see, you are kind of in an area where there are asteroids. They're nearby-ish, but they don't really pose a problem, to navigation. Yeah, you're just kind of in the middle of kind of an asteroid belt at the moment.
Okay. Chief Tin, what are the asteroids? What's the composition of the asteroids?
Since we could use some momentum, why don't we make it an actual task? Let's do a reason plus science. Ship will assist with sensor science and difficulty 0.
I'll roll for the ship.
All right.
Yes. Last time I rolled for the ship, it did not go well. Who's rolling Tin?
I suppose I should roll 10.
Okay. All right, so you get a momentum. You're up to 3. The asteroids are actually pretty simple, pretty standard. They are sort of a nickel iron. If I remember my time at the NASA sites when I was a kid correctly, it's the kind of asteroid that doesn't quite burn up in the atmosphere, so don't go throwing it at any planet unless you want the planet to be, stone aged or ice aged. But they don't really pose a danger to the Ophion. Like, it's pretty easy to blow them up with phasers or photon torpedoes.
I was actually thinking of using them for camouflage, but I think the exotic metals in our hull will stand out far too easily. Okay.
Yeah, basically, I'm just waiting for the rolls to see how effective the energy masking was.
Yep.
Is anyone else getting the double names on the tokens?
Yeah, I see that actually.
Yeah,
I'm not
that too.
sure what's going on with that. I'm just going to quit and we'll come back in real quick just
Yeah, I
to
was
see.
gonna say because I'm not seeing it on either my personal browser window or on the stream window.
Just clicking refresh.
I'm not getting it for everybody. Like Locke and Matic aren't.
Probably just Roll20 being Roll20.
Yeah, it's roll 20. I just logged out, logged back in. Everything's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna
Anyways,
say it's International Tabletop Day. They're probably getting swamped. Who knows? Anyways,
People playing tabletop games on International Tabletop Day? You don't say.
yeah.
yeah, funny that.
Captain, your current orders?
Current order is let's head. It's better than nothing. Let's make for the densest part of the asteroid field, and if Sona could please send us into a more random trajectory once we're in there, just to make us look like we're part of debris field.
I'll turn a nods to Sona to make sure she got that.
Yep, she's already on it.
You're ready room for a moment, Captain?
Absolutely.
All right. Just let me shuffle some tokens around here. We'll say Beckett, you'll join probably mid-conversation since it was kind of a request from the captain. But for now, we'll be just Skull and Panek.
I'll replicate some Vulcan spiced tea and pass it to Panek, and a glass of cold water for myself.
I'll accept it, but I'll just let it sit.
Yeah, I think Mercerin would have left the captain's replication running, otherwise he might get in trouble.
Yeah.
Most of
Matic
the
would
other
have
stuff-
shut it off if Merthin wouldn't have stopped him.
Survey says it was left on.
I don't suppose your parents in their diplomatic service had any encounters with Tholians?
My father personally, no. However, he does have contacts within it. And I was about to make the suggestion, Captain, that we, most logically, we're not going to be able to maintain a game of cat and mouse, I believe, as you say, with the Tholians. They eventually will detect us. Getting ahead of that is going to be our best option.
Agreed. What I'd like you to do is to go through our most recent logs, and scrub anything confidential out of them. I have a feeling that the Tholians will want to know how we're in their space, and I think it best that we be as forthcoming as possible.
I had the same thought, Captain. However, such edits would probably be detectable by such a paranoid species and could look unfavorable to us.
Yes, but are the Tholians really ready to learn about the existence of a mirror universe?
I'm not in a place to say, Captain. However, I would make the suggestion that once we do begin moving, we send a transmission to to Starfleet as soon as possible, letting them know our current situation so that they can begin diplomatic overtures with Tholia in regards to our presence.
I'm of the same thought, which is why I've already had asked Mr. Locke to figure out the most discreet means of communications. I've asked our engineers and R&D folks to come up with the best high-speed options, and my current plan is to get out of Tholia space as soon as possible, pull up the map, and show Pinnock where abouts our current heading will go. And then once we're out of their space, we can beeline it to Federation territory.
Understood. The shortest path between 2 points is a straight line. I will see what I can do about duty shifts to give Murthrin more manpower.
Agreed. If there are anyone with a hint of time spent in engineering work or in science working on warp field theories, see that they get temporarily assigned to Murthrin.
Aye, sir.
It's not one thing, it's another, isn't it, Lieutenant Commander?
I find these things happen to the best of ships, sir. Space is just unpredictable.
I think it's the things that happen that makes them the best of ships. Well,
you only grow when you're challenged, sir.
Well, surviving things like this makes us the best of ships.
And almost if he's here to say I told you so, there is a chime at your door, and Beckett is outside.
Come in.
All right, so of course, Beckett, you walk on in.
Commander Beckett.
Captain, XO.
Commander.
We were discussing diplomatic options, and despite us not wanting to alert the Tholians of our presence, we believe that to be quite impossible. And we're trying to figure out the best means of communicating. And any input you may have would be greatly appreciated.
Well, everything I know about the Tholians, I'm sure both of you already know. They're isolationists. If we even pipe up and say, we don't know how we got here, but we're here and we're trying to get out, we're sorry, it probably won't go well.
That is true. The other option is them finding us in their space, which is with the Federation's most tactically advanced vessel.
I mean,
there's no good way out of this. This is the Kobayashi Maru. There's no way to win.
Our only option is to mitigate the damage that will be done. Whether or not we can find a way to converse with the Tholians, or if we need to play a running game.
Have we thought about communicating with Starfleet and having Starfleet through official channels tell them that through a space anomaly we ended up here and we just want to go home?
Locke's assuming you've discharged Locke from sickbay, that is his first task, is to come up with a means of discreetly communicating our situation with Starfleet.
Has anybody thought about just going back through the door we came to get here?
That door has been closed, I'm afraid.
And it is unable to be opened from this end. We are currently not orbiting a Titan facility.
We also kind of blew up the other facility in the mirror universe.
Oh, so I'm not here and you took my advice from a previous... Got it. Okay, so... to be honest, if we do this the right way, communicate with them, tell them everything that happened, at least we have clear conscience that we didn't, that we did everything the right way. Because I mean, I'm sure you already have everybody in engineering working on a way of trying to get us out of here as quickly as possible, right?
They can
Correct.
shoot us dead, but the moral high ground will remain ours.
Where did Quakenbush come from? Did anybody just hear Quakenbush?
Yeah, like I said, I just think knowing as much about the Tholians as I do, which isn't a lot, nothing's gonna go well.
Agreed.
And if we get into combat with them, it's it's going to be like fighting dogs. Even though there's only one, there will soon be a whole pack of them.
That kind of altercation is a very last resort. We not only have to consider our own well-being, but the current state of relations between the Tholia and the Federation. We're not here to start a war.
I understand that. Usually, historically, if somebody wants to be left alone and you don't leave them alone, it usually ends badly for you.
Yeah.
Realistically and logically, our only option is to be as compliant with them as possible when they discover us.
Yes. As much as I do not wish to encounter the Tholians, that is at this point near certainty. Prepare various reports to Starfleet just in case there is a subsequent investigation, gentlemen. And in the meantime, I'm going to go through the 6 reports, or 6 contact reports between the Federation and the Tholians that exist on record, and get Miss Zareed up to speed. I have a feeling she's going to be doing a lot of talking.
What would Kirk do in this? No, never mind. Do not do what Kirk would do in this situation.
No, do not do what Kirk would do.
Mac on a Tholian and then hack their systems.
Oh dear.
Very well.
Forget what he actually did in that episode.
Well, I'll actually bring it up when Skull makes the roll for Zareed.
Yeah. Panek, you have the con?
Hi, sir.
I'll be in my ready room, and as they leave, I'll summon Zareed up and give her a quick briefing of where we're at, how screwed we are, and do you have some idea how to get us out of here?
Okay. So before we do that, though, let's cut back down to engineering to keep our lovely engineers involved. So the process of daisy chaining the warp cores together such that they can either function in unison or kind of in an alternating fashion. It's certainly possible. And to do so, you can probably guess this is going to be an extended task. The work track is 16. The magnitude is 5. The default difficulty is 5. And the default task is daring plus engineering. And my thinking here is that the reason it is a difficulty of 5 is because you're trying to do it quickly, and you're trying, obviously, not to blow up the ship in the process. So it's kind of that trade-off where you could certainly take more time and reduce the difficulty, but time might be a key factor here.
Oh yeah.
So is this
Also a case
not
of
time extended
probably-
task?
Yes, this is a timed extended task.
And it's probably also a case of we're sort of doing stuff with the systems that the builders decided, you know what, we could do this, but that's not a good way of doing things. We want the ship to be stable, so we'll do it this other way.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's see. Technical expertise can apply here because tasks are assisted by the ship's computers. I don't think this counts as a technical problem because there's nothing wrong with the ship. We're just boosting it.
Yeah, jury rigging would apply here if you've got jury rigging.
Yeah, I mean, that would only last a single scene plus 1 momentum, plus 1 per momentum spent. So I'm not sure if that would work for a full month of travel.
This is true.
Yeah.
Extended scene, really long.
What was the work track again?
The work track is 16.
Okay.
Yeah, next
difficulty
time we have an
5.
extended task and I've got the time to do it, another game that I kind of watched in on kind of did a cool thing where they made like an actual like token for the extended task, like a kind of a little table, and I
Quite
just didn't have time before the session to whip one up.
Anyway, so got 3 momentum to work with.
Do you have the in the nick of time talent, Murthrin?
No, I don't, unfortunately.
Okay.
I spent my arc milestone on alien technology.
Okay. So, since I have that, do you want me to take the lead on it?
That's good. I mean, that makes sense narratively too, because we're sort of modifying it to use your chronoton buffer thing as well. So I can certainly assist, though.
Yeah, you can definitely
Yeah.
assist.
Please. Okay.
So is that just a single die daring plus engineering?
That would be correct.
GM,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you 6 threat for 3 dice.
Okay, I will take threat.
All right, and then we get to re-roll one of those because of technical expertise. So, is technical expertise only for the active character, or if Murthrin has it, can he also re-roll a d20?
I'm gonna rule that it's only for the active character.
Okay.
Because it's when you're doing a task assisted by such and such, and I'm not doing the task, I'm assisting the task.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Um,
On the plus side, I do have applicable focuses.
prototype engineering, warp field dynamics, power systems, quantum mechanics. Take your pick.
Definitely warp field.
All right.
Okay.
Yay.
Well, let's count successes here. That is 6, 7
4, 5, 6,
successes.
7.
So 2 momentum.
3 from Murthrin, and then somebody needs to roll for the ship.
Now the ship is actually not assisting with this.
I'm
Oh.
assisting instead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought, okay.
No.
Yeah,
Sorry
also, my daring's a lot higher.
Yeah.
So I roll 7 challenge dice.
Correct.
Well, I want to re-roll those zeros. Well, wait, I have 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's half the work track done. Let me spend. Wait, is there any resistance?
Not that you know of.
Okay. If there isn't resistance and I spend the momentum, I could get an extra work, so we can automatically get 2 breakthroughs.
No, I don't think you get. I mean, you get
Or
one
is-
because you're over 5, but to get another breakthrough, you have to have the work track completed.
Okay. Never mind then. But yeah,
That's
that should be a breakthrough if it is a breakthrough.
Yeah, it's definitely a breakthrough.
So is that a total of 9 on the work track?
Yep.
Yeah. See, this is why I love In the Nick of Time.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
I think
so,
I'm going to get intense scrutiny later, though. Next arc.
So, narratively.
I keep going to replace jury rigs, but it's going to become useful the second I swap it out.
I mean, that's just how
Yeah.
these things work. So narratively, what happens is you get the alpha section and beta section warp cores to sort of quote unquote talk to one another. At this point, you could maybe alternate between the two warp cores. Obviously, the alpha sections, because it is much smaller than either beta or gamma, would have to be at a reduced time, but you could theoretically sustain off the alpha for a couple hours. So yeah, let's do one more roll, and then we'll see where we're at.
Another extended.
Yeah, another extended.
Is the difficulty the same or has it decreased?
Because of a breakthrough, it goes down to difficulty 4.
Um, do I not get the engineering bonus, or only Marthrin gets the engineering bonus?
Only Mirthrin does.
Which bonus is that?
The
If you're on your ship, all engineering tasks are reduced by 1 difficulty.
Aha.
I'm gonna spend all the momentum and give you 1 threat for another 3 dice.
Okay.
Sounds
Let's
good.
let's just get this over with. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh.
So we do need a success from Mirth. Oh no, you got your 4.
No,
So,
I got my 4.
And
So
that's
now
fine.
we have a momentum.
Yeah, now you have 1 momentum. Let's see. So the work track is now. Well, yeah, you still have to roll for the work track.
5, 6, 7, 8. So that's the work track done. That's another breakthrough. So that's 2 more breakthroughs.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to worry about doing the other 2 for the magnitude in that case. So it doesn't take you much longer to kind of not jury rig, but kind of set up the sort of connection between gamma section or main engineering with the rest of the warp cores. The only caveat to this is that in order to maintain warp 9.9975, which I think is the Ophion's maximum speed, in order to maintain that with either the beta or the alpha section, you either have to run beta at 150%, or you have to run alpha at 200, or you can run the 2 in conjunction. So just so you know.
Does Gamma not have a warp core?
No, Gamma has the main warp core, but it is the biggest warp core and is putting off the most energy.
It's the primary one that provides most of the oomph.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so Alpha and Beta are taking some of the stress off the Gamma one then? Is
Correct.
that the way it's working? Okay.
Yeah, that way you can literally almost like shut the gamma sections off, and if, however you do it, beta or alpha or the 2 together, they can take over for a time and give the gamma quote unquote rest.
Yeah, sort of let the warp coils cool down, get some engineering teams rushed in there to refurbish some stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, with that all work done, we'll cut back to the ready room as I try to find where the hell I put Zareed's token. Where is she? There she is. Would help if she wasn't tiny as crap, but, And yeah, Captain, there's a chime at your door, and Zareed does come in if you'll let her.
Of course, come on in.
So she says, I understand we are dealing with Tholians.
Word travels fast, Zareed. Yes, I have as much information of the Tholians as I have. That is not classified beyond even. There's some here that's classified even beyond mine. Something about the Vanguard station. Everything beyond that regarding Tholians and that is classified. However, this is all that I'm able to give you. And
so she takes the pad, she looks at it and says, Sir, I don't mean to say no to this, but from what I know of the Tholians, they prefer negotiation with strength. They do not like it when people roll over them or are not of a sufficient rank. As the highest ranking officer on the ship, you should be the one to do all of the negotiating.
I appreciate that, however, and we'll probably end up doing it anyways. However, I would certainly appreciate any insights that you're able to give me from your time within the diplomatic corps.
I was not able, or I was not one of the quote-unquote lucky few that interacted with the Tholian ambassador on Earth. However, from what I do know in our sort of basic primer on the Tholians is, as you know, they are xenophobic. They are very isolationist. If they find us, they're going to want to know exactly how we got here, and they're going to want to know how to stop it. And assuming they don't decide to start shooting and blowing us up, they are likely going to... She, thinks for a few moments, figuring out how to say it, and she comes back and says, the way I see it, they're either going to tell us to get out of their space and provide us escort, or they're going to simply destroy us.
And you better believe I'm going to work damned hard to ensure it's the former.
Well, the only other tidbit I can really provide, Captain, is that sometimes the universal translator doesn't really work properly with Tholian language. It gets the job done, but there are certain nuances which will not translate. Things like idioms, for example, will not work.
So, no puns. Gotcha.
Preferably, yes.
Very well. Well, take the material, review it, and if you have any further insight, find me wherever I am. I don't care if I'm asleep. I probably won't be sleeping anyways. Anyways, dismissed. Oh,
Right.
by the way, whatever duty schedule you're on, you're off it for until this situation's resolved.
And right as she starts to go, aye, aye, there is a situation on the bridge. So we cut to the bridge. Bridge.
Well, that didn't last. That quiet didn't last long.
So, Locke, where is your token, Locke? You disappeared on
I'm
me.
just
He's
in
in
the
a
bridge.
turbo lift.
Really.
So, Locke, at this point, you've returned to duty on the bridge, gotten a hold of the situation. You have been working on a discrete method of communicating with Starfleet. And what you've uncovered so far is that if you were to send it sort of passively so that it could conceivably be mistaken for background radiation, it would take several weeks for your signal to reach the nearest Starfleet outpost. However, while you are in the midst of this, your sensor station does begin beeping at you.
No. All right. Pull up what Spur is pinging.
So what you're seeing on sensors is another massive ship that sort of has come up out of warning. Unlike the Vohiri, this is a 2-kilometer long ship, and it literally did not show up on sensors until it was on top of you. To make matters worse, the ship frame is not found in any Starfleet database, yet there is some enough similar configurations to confirm that this is indeed a Tholian vessel. The dreadnought size is already pretty intimidating, but to kind of get a feel for its armaments, because you could use momentum, why don't we do either a reason plus science, or a insight plus security, or maybe a reason plus security would be best. Any of the three. This will be assisted by the ship's sensors and security, and the difficulty overall will be a 1, and depending on your successes, I can tell you what it's equipped with.
Would it be possible that maybe he has Shatsu also assist him?
Sure, I'll allow it.
All right, I'll roll for.
Okay, well, we already have the successes we need. Let's see if Shatsu gets more momentum.
Yes. I immediately, of course, ping the captain as well. Captain, Tholian dreadnought off the port bow.
You said reason or insight security?
Either would fit here in my mind.
Which one's higher? They're the same. Shipboard tactical systems?
No, because it's not your tactical systems. Alright, so another momentum.
Cool.
So, between Shatsu and Locke, the two of you discover that the Dreadnought is equipped with Tetrion beams, thermionic torpedoes, and a web generator. Oh yeah, someone needs to roll for the ship as well.
Sensors plus security.
Yeah, sensors plus security.
This is where playing Star Trek Online works against me. I think I know exactly what it is, and it's terrifying.
Oh, it's okay, because I'm going to show you it on the star map in a few moments.
No.
So, yeah, you're up to 4 momentum. So not only does it have an orb generator, you're not really detecting a blind spot on this thing. Like, usually you can scan a ship and figure out where a blind spot, even a small one, is. It seems like this Tholian vessel has no arcs you could hide behind. And as the captain walks onto the bridge, I'll put us on this map. And arriving in system is this vessel here.
Please tell me that's not to scale.
Oh, it is to scale. I made sure it is to scale.
Oh, fuck.
Yep, it's
warp
exactly
10?
what I thought.
All right, captain's on the bridge. I'd ask for a tactical assessment, but I have a feeling it's rather one-sided, isn't it?
I think it's actually 5-sided, 5-1.
Right. Please tell me that they're just doing a random patrol sweep and have not picked us up.
They dropped that of warp right by us. I think it's pretty likely we've been detected.
Not surprising.
No hails as of yet, but I also haven't detected them arming their weapons.
Yeah, they seem to be headed straight for the anomaly, which is kind of to the south. And I'll just move the ship as you guys keep talking.
Oh, very well.
They seem to actually be heading for the anomaly we emerged from. Probably tarried in this location a little too long.
Well,
Suggest we power down. Maybe they might not detect us right away if they focus their scans.
agreed. Let us configure ship for silent running, power down as much as possible, even drop life support to minimum. Skull to engineering.
Medic here?
Murder now.
We're changing from silent running to mute. Shut down everything.
All the lights on the bridge immediately go down to almost nothing.
You pull a Madagascar. You shut down everything. All right. So as that happens, the dreadnought does arrive next to the anomaly, and you do detect that they are beginning to scan the area. And I'm going to roll for the ship. I deliberately did not put in its stats, because if this does end up being a fight, that'll be interesting. But
Yeah, just
let
posting
me
a picture
double
in
check their
chat.
stats. They are rolling against that much. Okay.
Captain,
Yes, Mr. Panek.
while powering down may be a temporary measure in keeping us hiding, it is doubtful it will last very long. They are clearly here to investigate the anomaly and will be performing intensive scans of the nearby area.
So this is interesting. They get two successes, which is what they need. But they also get a complication.
Their engines fail.
No.
They get sucked through the hole.
Is this the roll to see if they find us?
Yes, since they are scanning the area. So here's what's going to happen. They do move slightly closer to you all, but it doesn't seem they found your specific location. They seem to be moving closer to where your ion trail is. And shortly after it's moved closer, right about there, there is a wideband channel opened up across the system.
Captain, I'm detecting an incoming hail from the Tholian ship.
Well, I knew this was good. I knew this was not going to last. Let's hear it.
All right.
Putting it through.
So you guys do have the option of replying, but for the moment, you're just sort of seeing one-way transmission.
Mm-hmm.
On the view screen, you see a typical Tholian officer, and he's, typical Tholian, he's a crystalline entity with an outer carapace and a trapezohedral body. Interestingly,
And an inscrutable expression.
yes. Interestingly, he is not colored orange like some Tholians are. He seems to be of a sort of a blue hue. And the Tholian speaks, and I'm not going to even attempt a voice for this because I like my vocal cords. But sort of imagine in your mind it is the sort of same sort of squeaky, maybe shrieky voice that Lokeen in the original TOS episode used. And the Tholian says, I am Commander Nastreen. You are trespassing in the territory of the Tholian Embassy. You must reveal yourselves, explain your presence here, and then relieve this area immediately. We are prepared to use force, if necessary, to protect our property.
I'm just
Captain?
going to sideline glance to Panek and go, well, at least they're giving us the option to leave peacefully. I sigh deeply.
Captain, may I make a suggestion?
Yes, Mr. Locke.
If we reply with a static communication and say that we emerged from an anomaly and are conducting repairs, and then ask to be escorted to the border, it might imply that we don't know how far we are from the border.
I'm
Gives
just
the impression that we think we've just crossed their border. They might be a little less likely to open fire immediately.
that goes against my original thought of being completely honest when caught.
It's not being entirely dishonest. It's just implying falsely that we don't know how deep we are into their territory. We're still admitting that
I
we
just
are
omitted certain truths.
I also don't have that stuff. I have diplomacy as a feature, but not deception. Very well.
Isn't diplomacy really just lying with a fancier name?
Lying with a smile, really. Very well. Bring us out of silent running. Raise shields. Merther
Captain,
and Matic? Yes.
I am unsure whether or not raising shields would be a sign of a good sign.
Very well. Keep shields down. Bring us out of mute. Keep us on low power. Make it look like we're attempting repairs of our warp cores. And Locke, Locke, Shatsu, tell me if they are attempting any sort of electronic warfare or if their weapons so much as flicker.
Understood, sir.
And bring us
Yes, sir.
slowly bring us out of the asteroid field and then reply to their communication.
All right, everything slowly powers back on.
I'd like to keep Zareed on the. If Zareed is still on the bridge, I'd like to just motion her to a seat somewhere nearby.
She's actually going to stand out of sight of the view screen, and
That
she's
works.
going to sort of send messages to your command chair kind of panel from a pad, if need
Works for
be.
me. And sorry, who did? What was the general's name again?
The commander's name was Nostreen. Nostrene. Mm-hmm.
How long has it been since we emerged from the portal?
It's maybe been half a day.
So we probably haven't done much repairs.
Yeah, not
Like we
not
still
a
have
whole lot
the
I mean,
structure.
I think would we have just finished overhauling the warp cores by now?
Yeah, you would have finished your warp core overhaul by now.
Since that was the focus, would they have repaired the science console in the bridge, or would it still be kind of out of service?
Oh, that would have been minimum priority.
Yeah, so I think you're working from a different console right now.
That's what I assumed. Okay.
So out of curiosity, on the map, where do you want the Ophion to be?
Probably. Let's do H20.
H20. Okay.
Matic would ask Skull if on the reboot the power if he wanted Merthrin and I to send the power in random phases so it looks like we're having issues, like Let's say the sensors kind of come on and they shut off, and they come on and they shut off, or like communication's not that good or something. Like give us
Yeah.
the appearance.
As I'm powering up, I'll send a message to them through text just to make it look like we're more damaged than we are.
Okay. I wonder how to roll for this.
That might be daring plus engineering.
Yeah, I'm thinking daring plus engineering for the actual roll, but for the ship, maybe.
Is
Maybe computers plus. I'm
I would
thinking
think computers
con because
plus-
you're trying
yeah.
to give off the appearance of something like an external appearance.
What's
Plus,
the
actually,
difficulty?
I've just noticed we do still have structure damage from the battle with the Vorchar class.
Oh yeah, that's right.
the Negvar, yes.
Still, yeah, we
Negvar,
still have the one
sorry.
breach.
So we are visibly damaged.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difficulty of the roll?
Let's make it a difficulty 3.
All right.
I'm all for spending a momentum on this.
Yeah. Momentum for a third dice for me. I guess I'm gonna take the lead because it's daring engineering.
Yep, your daring's a lot better than mine.
Yep.
What was it? Computers plus what for the assist?
I'm gonna say con. Because again,
Power
you're trying
systems applies, I hope.
Oh yeah, it'd apply. Okay, so you get a momentum back. So you quote unquote limp out into view of this vessel, and
Nice
Skull, the channel opens up right on cue, and you do have a direct line to the commander.
Okay. Commander Nostrine, I am Captain Barton Skull of the of the Federation starship Ophion. We are in your space unintentionally. We were exploring an aperture outside your territory, and the aperture proved to be very unstable and dumped us here without any forewarning. We are prepared to transmit sensor logs to back up our claim. We are making repairs. As your ship can see, we are damaged, and as soon as we are ready to withdraw, we are prepared to leave your space in the most efficient way possible. If you wish to, we would certainly appreciate an escort if the Tholians are willing to oblige.
While he's saying that,
Mm-hmm.
I want to actually transfer power to the sensor station so it'll spark visibly in smoke.
Okay. So Nostrine thinks for a moment and says, "You will transmit this data immediately, and we will determine the truthfulness of your statements."
Very well. Mr. Tin, please transmit all ship's logs from Stardate. What's Stardate? Stardate 55486.3 onward.
Understood, sir. And as the data is transferring over, Locke, since you're running sensors at the moment, I'm going to have you do an insight plus, we'll do science. And this is kind of interpreting the result of what you're seeing on the sensor scan in front of you, rather than the scan itself.
Data analysis is the focus?
Yeah, data analysis would apply. Let's make the difficulty here, well, you get 2 momentum.
Well, how about that?
Nice.
I see you fixed the sensors this time.
Yeah. All right. So, Locke, as the Tholians receive the data and they begin scanning the area where the aperture was, while the Dreadnought sensors were obviously sensitive enough to pick you guys up, even in, everything off mode, they don't seem to be advanced enough, I guess is the word I would use, to really kind of nail down the subspace disturbance that the anomaly put off.
Captain, do we really want to be giving them full details to a spatial anomaly that might lead to a mirror universe?
Given that the gateway on the other side is destroyed, and to the best of my knowledge, they can't use it to transverse back to the Takan portal in the Sabine Expanse, I'm all for taking our immediate survival over any potential findings that they may make.
Just offering a question.
I certainly appreciate any insights my bridge crew can give me.
So again, transfer all the information, make sure it's nice and detailed. It's an incomplete picture.
Sir, if their sensors are insufficient in determining the in scanning the anomaly in its radiation, perhaps it would be an olive branch for us to offer to help with their scans. The Ophion sensors are much more advanced.
That sounds like a good idea to me, XO. Is the channel still open to Nostrine?
Yeah, I think at this point both of you probably have it on mute as the data is transferring and they're analyzing it. So
Commander Nostrine, as an additional action to show our goodwill, we are willing to augment, or we're willing to offer you augments or
Supplement.
offer your sensors the parameters needed to augment your technology to accurately identify the remnants of this aperture and the radiation that it emits.
Roll me a presence plus command.
Okay.
I'm going to make the difficulty here a 3 with some threat.
Okay.
I'm going to make the complication range, again with threat, a 18 to 20.
All right.
And I will say your diplomacy focus will apply here.
Okay. Give me a second here to find my character sheet. I closed it accidentally. I'll spend a point of momentum for an extra dice.
Okay.
Sheet. Whoa, character sheet's changed. What the heck? The hell? Oh, right. I forgot. There's two forms on the sheet. Okay, so rolling presence plus command. 3d20. Yes.
All right, so you get a momentum back. Very nice. Rolling where it counts. So Nostrine does take a pregnant pause. I would say that probably 1 or 2 minutes passes after you've said this before he replies. He's really making you sweat. But eventually he does say, "The data you have provided is insufficient. You will provide us further sensor analysis immediately."
I'll just nod over to Locke.
Probably worth mentioning Murthrin is keeping the warp engines sort of running on idle, ready to punch up to maximum warp at a moment's notice.
I figured as much. All right. So in order to... I'm actually going to put this on the screen. In order to get close enough to the anomaly to scan it, you do need to be within medium range. I guess I should probably mark where the anomaly is. 1 second. Let's see. So the anomaly is here, where that red box is. And you would need to be within 6 units in order to scan it properly.
All right, Sona, let's go slowly, 1/10 impulse, please, towards the anomaly. And be sure to signal our intents to the commander. We're not making any sudden moves in front of the bear that could maul our face off.
Okay. So which hex do you want to go to?
Let's see. As much as I don't want to cross their bow, I don't think I have much of a choice.
We shouldn't show fear in front of the Tholians.
Yeah. Let's go to P18.
Okay. So there is a very tense moment as you do literally transverse the bow of the ship. And Shatsu will report that there was a momentary weapons lock, but it was very fleeting, almost as if it was sort of an automated procedure.
Fine. Very well. Just clench the butthole for a brief second and then back to normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm assuming we're still limping.
Yeah, that's why we're going slow.
Yeah, well, we're just very slowly inching along.
Mm-hmm. So, now that you are within range, the task is what you probably would expect. It's going to be a reason plus science, and the ship will assist with sensors plus science. And we'll say the difficulty here is a 2.
I'm gonna spend 1 momentum, just make sure we really nail it. Get it scans, focus, probably.
All right, so you get the momentum right back. So pretty much what you expect from a anomaly of this nature. The only trace that it was ever here in the first place is kind of a deformation in subspace that is already kind of healing itself. Kind of like if you have like a foam mattress and you push your hand down in it, there's an imprint, and that imprint eventually goes away. Kind of the same thing here with subspace. As you have already guessed and know, there's no way to open up the aperture from this end, and the subspace signature should return to normal within a couple days.
Okay. Make sure that he transmits all found data to the adelasite.
Mm-hmm. So there's another. We'll say that this time there is probably a good 5 to 10 minute gap before you get a reply back. And during that 5 to 10 minutes, Shatsu does say, "Sir, this is probably just me being paranoid here, but how do we know this isn't just a ruse to get us to give them all the information we have, and then they're just going to destroy us?"
Well, diplomacy is just another form of gambling, Lieutenant. I would very much prefer to, if showing them our hand allows us to survive this encounter, then wonderful. However, if we don't show them our hand, it pretty much guarantees a poor situation for us. But if we give them our hand, it will still end in it could end in a poor situation for us. Giving them all our information guarantees the best odds of survival.
Building trust, even with a xenophobic culture, can be done. But you must first give it before you can receive.
Yes.
And Zuri does actually speak because the comm channel isn't open at the current moment. Sir, I just have one small critique. Need to be a bit more bold, a bit more confident if you can.
Very well. Hail them.
Okay. Actually, they hail you after, we'll say, 10 minutes. And
Wonderful.
Nashtreen is again on screen, and he says, "We have reviewed your data, and we believe what you say is true. However, you are far beyond where any Federation vessel should be allowed."
This is very obvious, Commander. If you could please escort us to the nearest exit of Tholian space, we would be gladly on our way.
The commander doesn't say anything, but Sona does get a bit of data, and she says, "Sir, the Tholian ship has transmitted a flight plan for us."
All right. If we execute this flight plan, what's our estimated time in Tholian space?
Looks to be about 5 months, sir.
Well, then I guess we'd better start.
Yeah, which direction is it taking us?
They're taking you up and around Tholia.
That's about what we thought was the best way for us to go. And I'm sure that this is going to avoid all the Tholian critical structures, such as the shipyards and agricultural worlds and wherever they study rocks.
Yeah,
Captain-
Long actually does speak up and says, yeah, just a quick glance at the data, sir, and it looks like they mostly have us going through empty space.
Perfect.
Captain, the Tholians are renowned for their punctuality. It might behoove us to ask us how long they expect us to take in this, so we can we know what their expected timetable is.
Very well. Yes. Sorry, is the channel open, or did they just send us?
I mean, it's
Is this
open.
Still-
I would imagine these little conversations are either not loud enough to be picked up, or you do the kind of like cut off sound
Mute thing.
gesture, and you know.
Okay. I give you thanks for the safe travel plan out. Will we be escorted?
We will be escorting you personally.
Very well. What is the speed of that which you wish us to travel?
You will engage at warp 9.5 into the first set of coordinates. Then there will be a precisely 1 hour break, followed by another 9.5 transition. This will continue until we are out of Tholian space.
That's going to push our engines hard. We will endeavor to make that. I'm going to tap on on the console to Mirthrin to bring our ship up to full power.
Yep, does so.
Okay.
We are ready to proceed at your discretion.
There's a moment where it looks like Nostrine is talking to someone off screen. So either he's put it on mute or what he's saying isn't translating.
I have a theory as to what they're talking about anyways, but yes.
Mm-hmm. And Nostrine finally comes back and says, "You will also accept a Tholian observer for the duration of this journey."
I'm just going to side glance to Pinek and Shatsu and just
I'll
raise an
nod
eyebrow.
in understanding, and then motion to Satsu to begin locking, securing sensitive areas.
We
So-
understand, and we'll treat. We understand. Please transmit the environmental needs of your observer, and please be aware that your observer will be watched at all times.
So, of course, they send that data over, and Shatsu looks it over. But the first one really to respond to it is Zareed. And she kind of hurriedly types to her pad, and Captain, you see kind of on your arm display. You see
I'll signal
that-
mute.
Yeah. Captain, they need an environment of 400 degrees or 450 plus Kelvin. We don't have anywhere on the ship that can provide that. Now, of course, I know they have suits because that's how the ambassador on Earth got around, was in a suit. But if we want them to have any ability to leave their suit, we need to do some creative engineering.
Very well. 400 degrees Kelvin. That is. Sorry, just trying to convert that into Celsius so I can figure out what that is in layman's terms.
Oh, it's very,
it's getting
very,
close to
very
300
strong.
degrees.
Yeah.
400 Kelvin is 126 Celsius. Actually,
That's
above the
not-
boiling point of water, but not.
Not
450
as bad as
actually. So 176 Celsius.
Okay, so you could cook a roast with a Tholian. Gotcha. Okay.
I think they also need a pretty noxious atmosphere as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they do.
Yes, it was literally oven temperature. So
Okay. Evacuate the lowest decks of beta section and convert that into. Ooh, no, better idea. Convert beta section bridge into an environment that the ambassador will find acceptable, and environmental seal it from the rest of the ship. From there, configure systems to configure the systems to interface with current heading, destination, and a communication suite to their ship, but limit access to internal ship systems. If their observer is so keen to observe us, from then on they can wear the suit, and if we wish to confer with the ambassador, he has an environment that is suitable, and we can wear the environmental suits.
Captain, just to let you know, it's going to take a bit of time to retrofit Beta Bridge to actually handle that. I mean, we're going to burn the carpet to a crisp, let me put it that way.
I'm aware of the requirements. Just get someone on it as soon as possible.
Captain, if we actually switch it to Gamma Bridge, I believe Gamma Bridge is actually closer to the warp core, so we could actually just reroute some EPS conduits there slightly and use the warp plasma, heat the atmosphere.
Let us consult the holy MSD.
The MSD.
Could we not, in theory, use the holodeck to house the observer?
You could. You would just have to leave the holodeck running 24/7.
That one's slightly closer than.
Yeah, plus the holodeck's good at simulation temperatures. I don't know how good the internal walls are at handling to 180 degrees Celsius
for a long
for
period of
a
time.
period of time. Yeah.
That's why I suggested a bridge, because bridges are, by their design, have built-in firewall systems to prevent damage from the ship. Damage caused to a bridge should not spread to the rest of the ship. Likewise, damage to the ship should not spread to the. It's a more structurally sound part of the ship that should be able to withstand such high temperatures.
I mean, I would suggest one of the cargo bays, but I don't think the Tholians will appreciate being stuck in a room that opens onto space.
Agreed.
I mean, technically any room opens up to space with a big enough hole.
All right.
Yep, so Merthren will start organizing that.
Yep. Commander Nostrine, it will take some time for us to convert one of our sections to be properly habitated by your observer. However, until such time, we will attempt to make his stay as comfortable as possible within his environmental suit.
Again, Nostrine doesn't say anything, but he does transmit a set of coordinates, and Shatsu kind of looks it over and says, "Looks like we have beam coordinates, sir. Should I come with you to meet them in the transporter room?"
Absolutely. Mr. Panek, you have the bridge.
Sure.
Miss Shatsu, Zareed, please come with me.
All right, and of course I put the transporter room all the way on the other side of my maps. All right. So her token's on there a little bit early, but we can deal with it. So Captain's there, Shatsu's there. No, I want you to go to that layer, thank you. And Zareed is there. Where's Zareed? There she is. Why is my mouse being weird?
Needs more cheese.
Yeah. There we go. So yeah, you find your way to a transporter room, and you give the command for the transporter chief to go ahead with the beam in, and materializing on the pad before you in a Tholian exosuit, which I think Zareed would have at least told Skull and Shatsu about on the way here. It looks pretty much like the picture. There are, I think it's 6 legs? Yeah. There's 6 legs and 2 sets of arms. And this one seems to have some sort of ornamentation about the head. Size-wise, it's not going to have a problem getting around the ship. It's just a little bit bigger than a normal humanoid. Um, I would actually say that your two Scorpii are probably bigger than the Tholian. Um, but yeah, the materialization finishes, and the Tholian observer starts to look around.
Greetings. I'm Captain Barton Skull. I present my Chief of Security, Lieutenant Shatsu, and our diplomatic envoy, Zareed.
The observer kind of very intently turns to the captain and says, "I am Green," and I will type that out for you.
Welcome aboard. It will, as I had stated to your commander, it will take some time for us to convert part of our ship to be Tholian habitable, and I apologize that you must wear your suit until then. However, I am happy to escort you around the ship and to show you that we are making every best effort to get out of Tholia's space as quickly as possible.
Punctuality is extremely important. We should engage our exit course as soon as possible.
Agreed. Submit. Please tell your commander that we will match his course and speed when he is ready to depart.
So externally, nothing seems to happen, but Green comes back and says he is ready to follow you at your convenience.
Okay. Tap the badge. Skull to Sona.
Sona here, sir.
Let's follow the course. Warp 9.5. Engage.
All right. So the Ophion transitions to warp. And this feels like a good time to take a break. So, yeah, let's take 5 to 10 minutes, guys, and we'll be back then.
All right.
Accident for anyone else?
I'm here.
Come on.
I can hear you. Say something?
You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Discord just started getting fucking lag spikes for me. I don't know why. Oh well.
All right, I'm back. Kind of another sort of semi-private message to Twitch and YouTube chat. Appreciate you guys watching. Hope you're having fun watching us kind of flail around here. As usual, I would appreciate it if you could go ahead and do a subscription on YouTube and a follow on Twitch. As meaningless as the term "it really helps me out" is, it actually does. The closer I get to 50 followers on Twitch, the sooner I can enable subscriber mode. But again, it's not really a requirement. But yeah, again, thanks for watching, and I'm going to go ahead and unmute myself for the rest of the guys. All right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
I hit the temperature thing on the fridge and now the milk is frozen solid.
Yeah, the last time I moved, I accidentally set the fridge to the highest setting, and I had a bunch of 2 liters of soda in the fridge, and when I went to go check them, they were quite literally ice blocks.
Alrighty. Hopefully that'll thaw enough by the time we start that I can have a coffee.
Oh, so I was gonna handle this privately, but hell, why not? So supposedly on Free RPG Day, there is going to be some sort of quick adventure for the new 40K system, Wrath and Glory.
Oh yes, yes, I saw that. They're gonna like release the free play rules.
Right, and I want to do it separate from this group. So if any of you are interested in such a thing, just send me a message after the game and we can talk about it more. Obviously, I would have to wait until Free RPG Day to get my hands and see what's going on with the system. But if any of you are interested, whether it be players or anyone watching for that matter, just drop me a line and we can start figuring out dates, times, etc. I don't know if I'd stream it per se. I think depending on how long the adventure they give us is, if it looks like it's a 2-part episode, I might just record the first, and then seeing if that works, I might stream the second. I don't know. It's all dependent on what gets released in I think it's a couple weeks. In fact, why don't I? Got time anyway since we're waiting. What day is that?
Back, in case anyone's...
Welcome back. Let's see. Free RPG Day. What day is it? Saturday, June 16th. Yeah, so we're already a good month and a half out from that. But yeah. It looks like everyone's unmuted. Is everyone here?
I'm here.
I am present.
Here.
Okay. I think the only person I haven't heard from is Beckett. Oh, there he is. He said back. Okay. At least I think that's back. Anyways, let me get rid of the big BRB on screen.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. So resuming right where we left off, Captain, where would you take your new Tholian observer? You might be muted, Captain. Or he could not be back yet.
I can make a command decision. What do you need?
I was just curious where the captain was gonna take the Tholian. I guess while we wait for him to come back or whatever's going on. We'll theater of the mind this. So those of you working on the bridge, I'm assuming that's Mirthrin. Would you have anyone else helping you?
Not sure where Mercer would be. I mean, he'd probably be on the bridge by now, I guess.
Okay.
Actually, no, he would be in Gamma section overseeing the refurbishing.
Okay. I'm going to say the refurbishing is going to be actually fairly simple.
Just time consuming.
Let's see. I'm going to make this a difficulty 1 task, reduced in difficulty because you are the chief engineer. This is going to be control plus engineering. And no assists on this unless another PC is with you.
Well, that reduces it to 0 difficulty, I think, so...
Oh, no. It's 1 after accounting for the reduction.
Okay. Even so. Oh, I even have xenobiology as an applicable focus.
That would certainly apply in this instance, yes. Hey, you get what you need. So, whenever the captain's back, if the Tholian does want to beeline for their little habitat, yeah. So as you guys had described before the break, you do set it up so that the Gamma Section Bridge kind of is a real world analog for what goes on the actual bridge, and it is set up such that the atmosphere is Tholian capable. The Tholian will not have to worry about shattering or running out of nutrients. And you set up some sort of an airlock system so that you don't have to worry about spacing the atmosphere inside every time someone goes in or out.
Sort of sets up a few low-level thermal force fields to protect the touch screen consoles and all.
Okay. Again, that's fairly simple to do. Okay. Captain, are you back yet?
I am indeed.
All right, excellent. Where would you take your lovely new Tholian?
Quick tour of the ships. Yeah, just a quick tour of the ship's non-critical systems. Just a quick. This is main engineering. And now we're not in engineering anymore. This is the sick bay. This is the sick bay. How long is the transformation of the bridge going to take?
Oh, it finishes by the time you finish your tour.
Well, that was faster than I thought possible. Good job, Mirthrin.
So you get there while Mirthrin's in the suit, starting to pressurize the atmosphere.
Yep. So we'll end the tour on the converted bridge where what's his name again? Grarine, where Grarine can take off his or her suit and romp happily in their natural environment.
Yeah, I think it's a there. I believe they are asexual.
Yeah, I actually was gonna have Zareed bring it up. Though for us, because it's easier for us to give them, he, she, they, whatever, they don't really prescribe to genders as far as I'm able to tell. So they aren't.
I believe their structure and hierarchy are hue based, at least in the books I read.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I didn't have time to actually read.
So you're saying their gender is literally a spectrum?
Oh,
You're not wrong.
They are there.
But I mean, just for sake of argument, because I'm more than likely going to flub it myself, if you call Gareen a he or a she, they aren't going to care. I'm not going to hold you to pronouns on this.
How do they feel about it?
It probably would work, but it might be a little insulting.
Depends if Tholian language has separate genders for people and objects.
Yeah, and unfortunately, again, it's one of those things where the universal translator tries to do its best, but, obviously it's only able to do so much.
There's only so much a computer can do where implication is concerned. I mean, even if data can't figure out metaphor and implication all that well, what's a universal translator to do?
I imagine it just translates he, she, they, it, all as the same pronoun.
All right, who am I missing? Oh, I'm missing Shatsu. That's who I'm missing. Also Zareed. Where is Zareed? There's Zareed. So we'll say, for sake of argument, the three of you that have been kind of following the Garena board, you all slip into exosuits as the Tholian observer does begin to engage a sort of a decontamination sequence as she steps out of her own suit. And they are pretty much like their suit. They are purple. They are obviously a lot thinner than you would expect. Whether or not it's simply by design or it actually serves a purpose, you don't really know. But the big bulky legs of the suit are easily 2 or 3 times the actual width and thickness of a Tholian leg. So out of the suit, Green is actually smaller than you would expect. She's probably like normal humanoid size.
Just take her on a quick tour with the whatever consoles are functioning. So this console will dictate our current presence or our current course and speed in relation to our trip plan that your commander had transported to us. This will open a communication channel back to your ship. Be aware, though, that any conversation could be recorded. Over here is just is where any is a feed up. Why can't I talk today? I'm sorry. Over this console here will just show what you are currently what our current sensors are showing in our general vicinity. If your course if our stellar cartography is accurate to the course plotted, it's not going to be all that interesting. And over here you will see a real-time performance status from our engines, just to ensure that just to let you know that they are functioning within the parameters set by your commander.
Yeah, and Murthrin's sort of set up the science station so it's acting as a dedicated atmospheric control and monitoring station for the bridge.
Good idea. And this console here will allow you to initiate communications with our bridge, should you need anything at all.
So Green, kind of takes us on and says, "I do not see an observation for the tactical systems of this vessel."
That is by design.
It is imperative that I understand your technical and tactical capabilities.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna have you roll.
Ooh, going hardline.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you roll for this. Let's do another presence plus command. Difficulty. Let's spend some threat because I have threat. I'm gonna make it difficulty 3, and I'm gonna make the complication range 18 to 20.
Then I will spend a point of momentum for extra dice.
Also scene change because we keep forgetting to do scene changes.
Yes.
So you're down to 4.
5. Down to 4.
Presence plus command.
You deleted Shatsu. It's okay. I can put it back.
Sorry.
Oh no, the Tholian disintegrated Shatsu.
And because I have cautious command, I will re-roll that 0.
Okay.
And that will
That
barely
is a pass. That's
Ooh.
literally by the
Squeezing
skin
through.
of your teeth.
the ship's our ship's tactical systems are not necessary for your role as observer. Your role as observer is to ensure that we are going where we need to go, when we need to go, and at the speed that we are dictated.
Tense stare down.
Yeah, there is that kind of intense stare down, and Green finally says, "I will compromise. I would accept a weapons status indication to make sure you are not locking on to any Tholian property in an attempt to destroy it."
Very well. I will have Chief Engineer Murthrin re-enter within a couple hours to give you a to add that console.
Now, Shatsu actually kind of says, "Sir, I could probably do it to this one here. No problem."
Very well.
Yeah. So she kind of, messes with this panel here. And after a few moments says, "There you are. Should suffice for your requirements." And Green does kind of, wander on over, takes a look, and says, "This is acceptable."
I'm glad to hear it. You are welcome. You are welcome to leave and make your way about the ship. Be aware that you will be escorted by a member of our security team whenever you set foot outside this space. Your actions inside this space will not be monitored.
That is understandable.
Um, I'm afraid that our species understanding of your personal and sociological habits, our tendencies, are not very complete. So, as much as I would wish you a welcome aboard and tradition to your customs, I'm afraid I'm unable to offer that. I hope that you will find your time aboard our ship satisfactory, if not as comfortable as you'd like.
I believe the human expression is thank you.
You're welcome. And just stand around long enough to make it slightly awkward, and then I'm just going to turn around and make my way out.
Okay. And of course, the Reed and Shatsu follow you.
And once we're in the airlock, I'll Shatsu, I would like 2 security officers on any exit in or out of this bridge.
At once, sir.
all
Would you
times.
prefer hollow officers or real officers?
Hollow officers, unless if the hollow officer notices movement, then a organic officer or organic personnel will come in to assist or evaluate further.
Understood, sir. And yeah, where would you head after that? Back up to the bridge?
I kind of want a stiff drink.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm going to go to the Duck. And Shatsu and Zarid are dismissed from their official duties.
Okay. So you go to the Duck. What is everybody else doing?
I'd imagine Murthrin is spending. I imagine Murthrin is spending a lot of his time trying to persuade Zenixia that no, she does not want to go meet the Tholian.
Yeah, big-eyed and puppy-tailed Zenixia wants to meet everything.
But
No, you don't understand. When I say they're isolationist and xenophobic, I mean everything.
But I'm nice.
Yeah, I'm friendly.
They would probably be very suspicious of that.
But their crystals look so beautiful.
Yeah,
I
I agree. And
I wonder if they make jewelry.
And Tholian silk is pretty amazing stuff. Like that will fetch a high price out on the galactic markets, but all the same.
I'm just going to pout and just go back to my duties and go.
Also,
I won't stop you talking to the observer if they come by, but just don't go seeking them out.
Oh, sometimes it's no fun being on a crew. I miss the freedom.
It's as much duty and responsibility as adventure.
If you say so, sir.
So
Sort of wander off, going, starting to develop an attitude. I'm not sure whether I'm happy or annoyed by that.
little
when she doesn't get her way.
So, a quick small fact that I found out during my research with the Tholians. Their silk is actually a waste product. So, conceivably, you could walk away from the situation with a large amount of Tholian silk if the observer stays on board for 5 months. Just in case anyone had plans to deal with Ferengi in the future.
I've already reached out to Quark.
Oh man!
Actually,
I wonder how much silk a single Tholian produces in 5 months.
I guess we're gonna find out. Any event, all right. So Captain's in the Duck. Murthrin is doing his thing in engineering. Panek, Maddock, Beckett.
I'm taking triple shifts on the bridge while we're dealing with the Tholian.
Okay.
Locke would want to go talk to the captain in the Duck wherever he is.
Okay, yeah. Let's make the scene out of the Duck.
All right.
Let's see. So Svarja isn't there. Yeah, this is still all the supporting characters. Well, Sharika's there because she's the bartender. So where is... All right, so there's the captain. Of course, throw yourself wherever you want. And there's Locke. Same thing.
Captain, may I join you?
By all means, do. Have a seat.
It's kind of irrelevant now, but I think I found an interesting way of contacting home. I'm not sure if we
Oh?
want to do it anymore.
How so? We still have not sent a communication to Starfleet, so I'm interested to hear your method.
Well, it's the problem with any kind of unique communication method is, of course, you need to send it and have someone who can receive it. No matter how creative I got, I couldn't think of a way to send a unique signal that people would be listening for. So the easiest way I thought would be actually be an interplexing beacon of Borg design. Send a Borg transmission out. Starfleet's monitoring for Borg activity. They would be picked up, but the Tholians don't believe have encountered the Borg at all, so would have had no idea what was sending the transmission.
Now that's an entertaining theory. What sort of work would you need to do to pull that off?
Well, we need to make a very particular type of subspace transmitter, a Borg design. We've recovered several of them over the years, so it shouldn't be impossible. I believe the Borg built one on a deflector dish of the Enterprise once. We have 3D deflector dishes. We could easily construct one out of one of our deflector dishes. You can use that to send a subspace transmission.
There's one big flaw with that, is that any work on the outside of our hull will be detected by the Tholians.
And of course, any subspace transmission we send would be detected by the Tholians as well.
Touché.
So it is definitely not something we could do surreptitiously.
I will state for the record that Mirthrin will make no rolls of any kind on this plan, because if he does, he will inevitably end up calling Borg into Tholian space.
We don't want assimilated Tholians at all.
Yes. We definitely have to... that's the thing. We could also send decoding the transmission. We could probably send it on a Romulan frequency that wouldn't be traced back. But honestly, at this point, I think the easiest thing to do would just be to contact the Tholians and ask them to transmit something on our behalf. That way they have the freedom to read through all the letters and transmissions and make sure we're not sending anything.
As much as I wish that weren't the preferred option, I think that's the preferred option. As soon as I've decided when to stop this drink, I think it's a good idea that I go and have our observer pass along a message. How are you feeling after all that? You took some rather nasty burns.
Thankfully, Commander Beckett did a masterful job. No scarring, a little bit of soreness. I'll be laying off the exercising for a few days, but I'm good for duty.
Don't let Mr. Panek overhear that. You know how he is about peak physical condition for all crew members.
My eyebrow rises on the deck.
Panek senses a disturbance in the force.
I'm definitely not doing any calisthenics or free weights anytime soon. Definitely feel a little stiff, but no more than an afternoon sparring with Klingons, which is surprising considering a half meter of shrapnel was pulled out of my...
Either way, I'm just glad you made a full recovery.
Yes, thankfully, Boolean blood is easy to synthesize. I left a lot of it on the bridge. The replicators can be working overtime to remove this stain.
Yes, our carpet is still slightly blue.
Thankfully, the commander was not near me. Boolean blood is quite toxic for Vulcans.
I've heard something about that. That kind of soured your species' first contact, did it not?
Yes, well, we don't exchange fluids with other races nearly as much.
I'll raise a glass. Well, cheers to your ongoing health and service, Mr. Locke, and just chug the rest of the drink.
All right.
Order a quick conic water and sip it slowly.
All right. Would anyone else care to walk in on the duck conversation, or should we check in on everybody else?
And I'd imagine at some point someone will bump into Mirthrin, sort of standing, looking pensively out a window on one of the rear corridors.
So I wave Mirthrin over.
Yeah, why not? Where's Mirthrin's token? There's
Lieutenant
token.
Doc.
There we go.
This isn't in the duct. This will be on the back corridors of the ship.
Oh, I see. I see. I don't have a corridor that's not at red alert. I should fix that later. We'll just theater of the mind. So who would walk up to Mirthrin? I guess is the question. Because if nobody does have any ideas, I do have a supporting character idea.
I nominate Matic.
I just realized I have my mic muted. Yeah.
Nice.
Matic will walk up to Mirthrin and he'll hand him a drink.
Thanks. And he'll stop sipping.
Well, can't say that this is the worst. This is the best situation I've been in.
You could say that, and he'll look pointedly out the window where you can see, like, from the back of the ship at warp, and then right behind it, the Tholian dreadnought following in warp right above it. It's certainly not. It's certainly stressful having that hanging over our heads.
I mean, here's the thing about it, though. It's kind of like defusing a bomb. If we're right, we don't have to worry about it. If we're wrong, we still don't have to worry about it. Either way.
I can see why you're an engineer and not a counselor.
Yeah. I mean, we do what we're good at.
And just because I think it's interesting, at this point, Lieutenant Junior Grade Jisa does kind of walk by. And she doesn't say anything, but she does kind of wave at Mirthrin. And
Mirthrin will distractedly wave back.
Yeah, and she'll give you a smile, and then she'll look at Matic, and I'm interested how Matic would respond to Jisa at this point.
Oh, right, that's right. Maddox's been avoiding her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, has he known that she's an Orion?
I mean,
or
pretty much
this...
looking at her, you could tell she's Orion.
Right, but
She's
like,
green.
would he have at any point, knowing his history, would someone have told him, "Hey, we have an Orion on board"?
I would think
I
it would
don't
have been
think it would have
part of
occurred to
her-
anyone to mention it.
I mean, there's only 70 people on board,
Yeah, there's 175.
so it's probably not uncommon that Matic would have at least seen her at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's been actively avoiding the counselor's office, there's a chance he hasn't run into her yet, but...
I think given your history, Matic, you would have gotten a small blurb that says, hey, there is an Orion on the Ophion when you first transferred out here. But yeah, I think this is probably your first time anywhere close to her.
All right. Matic just gets his face just kind of just goes blank, and he doesn't stare at her, but he kind of stares like just over her shoulder.
So what vibe does Mirthrin immediately get?
Are you a Betazord?
Oh yeah, Mirthrin's a Betazoid. He's an empath. So if there's any strong emotional reaction happening, he is immediately picking it up.
What you're feeling is it's that feeling of Matic knows she's on their side. she isn't part of the syndicate, but her people still caused him pain, and so he still has those
There's
feelings
just this
of
visceral
I just
gut.
want to get rid of them. I don't want to deal with them. Just stay away.
Yeah, just a sudden thunk of visceral defensiveness.
Hmm.
Hold on,
So-
say that again. My Discord's acting up.
Just a sudden thunk of visceral defensive mode.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine sort of Mirthra will sort of like he'll sort of wave hello to Jisa and then sort of like do a sort of double take and give Matic an odd look as it catches him off guard, and then try not to let on that it happened.
And well, thankfully, Jisa does not linger. She just continues on walking after waving at you, and you're once again
then
alone.
once once Jisa's gone out of sight, Mirthra will sort of go, "You all right? You all right, Lieutenant Commander?"
I personally don't care for Orions.
Bad history.
You can say that.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, her pheromones only work on cats.
What?
And Merton all sort of looking at him. Oh, didn't you know? Yeah, no, it's a sort of interesting genetic quirk. Apparently, it still only works on males, but it only works on male phelinoids.
So don't request Lieutenant Rouge on the ship. Got it.
Yeah, I mean, her two cats, like, they absolutely love her. I mean, anyone else tries to go near them, they're liable to scratch your hand.
What? Matt, okay, the only sense you're getting from Matic right now is a very confused, what the hell?
Yeah, just complete and utter confusion, which is a lot more comfortable for Mithrin.
Yeah, Matic's just kind of looking at you like, what the fuck is he talking about?
I love it. I love it.
Well, that does actually make Mithrin feel a lot better.
All right. Let's check in with Beckett. We haven't heard from Beckett in a while. What you doing there?
Apparently being on mute and just listening and laughing to everybody else. Honestly, I don't really have anything.
Okay.
So
I actually did have a small thing with Svarja, if you're up for it.
okay.
Let me find sickbay again. So, you're kind of just cleaning up the aftermath of having to deal with a sudden influx of injuries thanks to the Vohiri attack. And kind of walks on in is Svarja. Now, of course, you've seen Svarja in staff meetings before this. You are aware of her presence, but she has never been to sickbay before.
Welcome in. Are you lost or are you wanting to be here?
It is my understanding that you are the one to come to when one is facing. She kind of looks at Vara, and Vara kind of, almost in a knowing way, gets the sense that she should be here and finds somewhere else to be. And once it's just the two of you alone, Vara just says, I'm experiencing some pain about here, and she motions at her chest level where you're guessing her heart is. You haven't ever really taken a full scan of her. And she says, I don't think it is a feeling of loss, but the pain will not go away.
All right. Well, have a seat, and let me see if we can figure out what is ailing you.
Okay.
And I'll start making scans.
Okay. Let's do a reason plus medicine. Difficulty 2. Get a momentum. Nice. So, this is again probably your first time really doing an in depth scan of her. And you're detecting that, very similar to a Time Lord, she has 2 hearts. And one of them appears to. Are you familiar with arrhythmias?
Yes.
Okay. Basically, it's when the heart doesn't beat quite like it should. Um, one of her hearts is experiencing that. It's not like a huge deal, but it is definitely throwing off her blood pressure and might be causing, a whole slew of symptoms that she hasn't told you about yet.
Okay. I will do the typical doctor thing and start asking, are you feeling, and then insert all the other things that normally come with it.
Mm-hmm.
And just, are you having any of this? Are you having any of this? Do you feel any of this? Have you had problems with this? And just ask her kind of in succession.
Okay. So we'll say for sake of argument, this probably is a good 3 to 4 minute exchange of, XYZ.
Yeah.
And finally, she says, I didn't really want to mention this to anyone but a doctor, but before I went under, back into the pod, I was in a battle where I was near a explosive charge that went off. Uh, the medical personnel assured me that I'd be fine, but do you think this might be a sort of a old war relic?
Have you ever had wounds to the chest
Uh,
or the back, for that matter?
to the back, yes.
Hmm. Well, I'm sure I don't need to tell a warrior of your skill level, but it's usually not recommended to let people behind you.
Huh. When you're in a firefight and a free for all, there's only so much of that you can do.
And I'll start scanning to see if there's any. Uh, well, she did say they use projectiles, so any bullet wounds, bullet fragments or projectile fragments that are still inside of her.
Do me another reason plus medicine. Difficulty this time, I'm going to make a 3.
Okay. I'll spend that momentum I got a second ago.
Okay.
And I
look
get
at
it
that.
back.
You get it back. So how do I want to say this? Let's say, for sake of argument, since she's here, you give her the full physical.
Okay.
And the thing you're going to note is that when she takes off her armor for the visual inspection, is that she is kind of like her body is kind of awash in scars. And the one that really sticks out to you when you inspect her back is right about where the shoulder blade kind of approaches the spine. There is a fragment of a rather nasty tritanium style bullet. Now, this may or may not be related to the pain she's experiencing because of the heart arrhythmia, but it's definitely in there. There's enough fragments in there that it's not quite an Iron Man situation where she needs like a full coil to keep the fragments from piercing her heart, but from what you know as a doctor, this could be a symptom. This could be causing some of these symptoms as well.
Okay. Just as a general thought, how difficult do I think it would be to get the pieces out without any major damage. I mean, hell, Tony Stark and Pepper did it like at the end of Iron Man 3 in like 10 minutes. But um, how how big of a thing is this going to be for me to be able to pull those out?
I would say because of her unfamiliar physiology, even though you've just done a full physical, you're looking at least several hours of surgery time.
Okay. And then that still doesn't even solve the arrhythmia part.
Mhm.
Do I think that this could be a cause of the arrhythmia? That her heart is beating weirdly because of the shrapnel?
I would say that your suspicion as CMO is that the explosion she talked about, because it was in such proximity, the compression wave of any explosion plays havoc on
Mm-hmm.
living life. Living life, yeah.
Gotcha.
Life needs things to live.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where probably the explosion kind of knocked one of her hearts out of rhythm, and it's just sort of been exacerbated by the fact that she's been under the ice for how many decades, how many millennia?
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I'm going to relay this to her. Let her know. I can take the shrapnel out of your back. Um, it's probably going to be a prolonged surgery. Ensign Vara would probably assist me, um, but it won't solve the pain that you're feeling in your chest. Um, I'm fairly certain I can solve that as well. I believe both injuries were caused by the same thing. So the concussion of the explosion from behind you not only put the shrapnel in your back, but also um, caused one of your two hearts to beat out of rhythm.
So
So,
she nods about most of this, but does kind of interject and say, I would prefer if it was just you, actually.
okay, uh, I I can do that.
Thank you. It's kind of a taboo among my people that we don't really like our medical history to be well known.
Ah, I can understand that. Um, if then I'm going to ask you, being you're conscious instead of just doing it when you're not, and I'll kind of give her a smile. If I end up needing an extra set of hands, um, the the ship has a holographic assistant that I can use to where any medical knowledge would still only remain with me.
The EMH.
Yes.
Yeah, I am familiar with it, since I did do a little bit of studying of the ship's holo projectors.
I normally don't like using them. An old teacher of mine said that any doctor worth their salt would never actually activate one, but in this kind of situation, it would probably be uh, warranted.
That
But I will do my best to not uh, activate them.
that is acceptable. Shall we do this now?
Well, I would say let me. Um, the amount of time that this is going to take is something that I would need to inform the captain that he will not have his chief medical officer for. So let's say tomorrow. I will talk to the captain, let him know that Vara is going to take over all my other duties until we solve all these problems.
That that will work. Thank you.
Of course, that's what we're here for. It's strange to me though that normally in warrior cultures, sometimes the doctors aren't looked upon very fondly, but it's comforting to know that yours is like mine. The warriors know that without doctors, you can't fight.
Well, kind of harking back to what I said earlier. each family has its own doctor, and that's how we keep things separate. We hold our doctors in very high esteem.
I like that kind of culture. But yes, we will definitely take care of everything tomorrow. As I said, be here around the same time, and as I said, I'll let the captain know that we're going to be doing this.
Okay. So, unless anyone has any other bits of RP they want to get away, I do want to skip ahead probably about a half a day or a full day. So let's go to the bridge, because of course we need to spend exactly 25% of the episode staring at the bridge map.
Of course, it's a Star Trek mathematical law.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna put her token on this map, but Green is obviously kind of observing everything from Gamma section. So just a reminder that they're kind of around and present. So yeah, we'll say at this point you have been following the Tholian's instructions to the letter. What speed to go at, when to drop out of warp, how long to drop out of warp, etc. However, you are. How do I want to say this? Locke, you are going to get a faint distress call on sensors. And Panek, you would see this too.
Captain, I'm detecting a distress call. It's faint. I'm barely picking it up. I'm not sure the Tholians have detected it yet.
Are we able to hear it? Put it up.
Pulling up.
So you put it up, and it is again the same sort of Tholian voice translation that comes over. And the voice says, to any and all vessels within the area, the research outpost on Kogbasite is experiencing a shutdown of some sort. We do not know for sure. All we know is that environmental controls are failing, and that we need assistance immediately. And that's all the message says.
All right. Open a. I'll just tap the communication down to the Gamma bridge. Green, were you able to listen to that distress call?
I was able to hear it, yes.
It is one of Starfleet's primary directives to assist all in need. However, this would, of course, mean that we would deviate in our course. We would like to assist, but we do understand if the Tholians would prefer to keep such matters internal.
We would prefer if you did not have the ability to scan any of our outposts, shipyards, or starbases.
Very well. I understand. For peace of mind, can you assure me that these people, that your citizens will receive the help that they need?
There's another pause, and Locke, I'm going to give this to you free. By now, you've probably figured out from the internal sensors that there is a certain type of radiation that the Tholians put off, and it seems to be how they're communicating with the other Tholians. As for... oh, wow, I'm actually getting that double effect you guys were talking about earlier. Anyway, there is kind of another protracted radiation burst from Gamma Bridge. And Green finally replies and says, the nearest Tholian vessel will not be able to get here for several days.
Captain, we could put our sensors into read-only mode and not record, not log any sensors readings we take of the situation.
Well, how long would it take for our escort to get over there and
Yes.
fix the issue? Because we could just sit here for a day or two.
Yeah.
Wait for them to come back.
That was my next suggestion. Is we can, if you are so if you require us to hold position while your vessel investigates, that would be perfectly acceptable.
It is the commander's mind that you are not to be left alone in our space.
I mean, you're with us, or she's with us.
Yeah,
It's with us.
yeah. You're a continued presence of the Tholian assembly.
However, I cannot stop you from performing any insidious or otherwise harmful actions to the Tholian Assembly. You have seen to
No.
that, given my accommodations.
Okay. How out of cure, how many Tholians are on that station, Grarine?
There are 15.
There are 15. And it's the Tholians is the Tholian assembly all as perfectly willing to let them die in the name of their national security, even though we have proven cooperative thus far?
I think this is what I'm going to call for the test.
Okay.
Another
Pushing
diplomacy.
buttons.
I figured there would be one at some point.
I'm
Could
going
I
to
assist?
spend. I'm going to say no unless you actually interject and offer some advice.
Um,
Um,
I believe the Tholians have the ability to talk to each other through a sort of subspace link, like a mental link. It travels great distances, so she could still be in contact with the dreadnought while she babysits us here if we wait.
I'm going to say that's probably going to be the same argument she kind of pushed off earlier, but with 2 successes is what you need. So Green says, we will tolerate a 6-hour delay. Adjust course accordingly.
Very well. Miss Sona, please adjust course to the facility's coordinates. Inform our Tholian escort as to our increase in speed and our change of trajectory, and engage maximum warp.
Understood, sir.
And computer start 6-hour countdown. Silent notifications every hour.
And Shatsu speaks up and says, sir, I'm assuming you do want us to put the sensors into read-only mode, though?
Yes, please do.
Does that go for every other logging capability we have?
Let's see.
I'll just lock up my console from recording anything permanently.
Let's see. Long. Yes, lock stellar cartography, long range and short range sensors. Communications will log when communications are sent and received, but not the nature of said communications.
Understood, sir. And yeah, the Ophion does kind of angle off and heads off in a different direction. And I think, you know what, let's end the session there because I honestly don't know how long the away mission will take. So the only kind of housekeeping I think we have to do in preparation for 2 weeks from now is a milestone. I did just give you guys an arc. However, I do want you guys to be thinking about a spotlight. After the away mission, we're going to hand out a spotlight and probably a round of regular milestones for everyone. So while it's fresh in your minds, make a note somewhere that you'll remember. Who would you be voting for at the moment? And we'll see if that changes when we do the quote-unquote part 2. Other than that, I thought this was a great session. I had a lot of fun. And players, if you, of course, can stick around for after the stream stuff, I'll go ahead and end the recording and stream there. So for those watching on YouTube or Twitch, thank you for watching as usual, and bye-bye.